Discover Virginia. C1, take one.
See, most salespeople hate selling because it feels like pressure. And Teach to Sell is about how to gain that, take that pressure and transform it into trust.
Welcome to Discover Virginia, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the incredible people, businesses, and stories that shape the Hampton Roads and Virginia community. Each episode, we sit down with local entrepreneurs, creatives, and change makers who are redefining what it means to live, work, and also play in this region. Now, let's explore, connect, and discover Virginia. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Discover Virginia podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Trahan. Today on the show, we are covering all things sales. One of the leading industries in Virginia right now is sales, whether you're in government, IT, or just selling video podcasts like we do over here at One of Maine. Sales is an integral part of that. And so what I'd like to do is kind of guide this conversation for those of you out there who maybe know someone in sales or are thinking about maybe joining sales yourself and are looking just to get a lay of the land of what you can expect before you begin that journey. And I have the best expert here for you on all things sales, Dan Rochon, salesperson for 20 plus years now, seeing multiple changes throughout the real estate industry himself. He's going to be covering his new book, Teach to Sell, Why Top Salespeople Don't Sell, but what they actually do instead. So I'm very excited to cover that with you. And without further ado, Dan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So excited to have you here in the Norfolk studio here at Assembly with Send. Very cool setup, and appreciate you coming down from Northern Virginia.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So look, if you're like thinking through sales, I think one of the biggest stigmas that people have are people just don't trust salespeople. And as a salesperson myself, it keeps me up at night. I think through it, I problem solve, I talk to my wife who handles salespeople through in and throughout. And I'm curious for you, Dan, what's going on? Where did we go wrong in sales that people just find us icky and not like they want to talk to us?
So here's the deal. It's not about sales per se. It's about trust. Okay? The Pew Research Center found that 1 out of 3 people, Americans, believe that most other people cannot be trusted. But it's not because people are bad. It's because there's a disconnect in between relating, helping somebody versus trying to help them. So what happens is the consumer believes that the salesperson is trying to take advantage of them.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes that's true.
They're trying to push their own agenda on them.
Yeah.
They want them to buy their product, their service, when in all actuality, the consumer might not need it.
Well, they may need it, but it may not. It's about like what's in their best interest.
Sure.
All right. So it's flipping the script of instead of me making a living off of getting people to buy my product or service, it transforms it to me making a living out of helping people solve their problem. Okay. And when I understand that I am a solutions provider rather than a salesperson, I'm there to help, then my sales, it expands and it explodes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I have some stats here that I found really interesting. I wanted to share. So, because people are just really want to avoid salespeople at all cost, we've seen the number of salespeople drop, right? So 55% of salespeople in the field right now are currently undertrained. So just one in every other sales gal doesn't know what's going on.
That surprises me, by the way.
Yeah? Why is that?
I would say it'd probably be more like 99% are undertrained.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. And because you think of like the industry has changed. You got the Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross era, ABC always be closing, that really just aggressive, assertive, that if you're looking at a DISC assessment, it's the dominant trait, which helps some people, right? It's clear, right? And concise. But for the majority of consumers, including myself, I don't want that. I want kind of how do we solve this problem? Walk me through it. Kind of give me that information part. And get this. So of those 55%, only 24% of salespeople consider themselves high performers. Now, I know you're in real estate, but generally, how would we define high performers? Like, we're talking to salespeople out there trying to figure it out, trying to make money. Like, what is high performer mean to you? It's kind of a personal decision. I kind of look at the general stats. You live in Nova though, so help me out. So in this area, you need roughly $65,000 to $75,000, like solo, to be comfortable in this area with rising cost and obtainable housing rising now more than ever. That's kind of the estimate I've seen. What about for Northern Virginia?
To be comfortable?
Yeah.
Oh, closer to 200,000 probably.
Really? Interesting.
It's out there. I don't know the number, but I'd say if you're making $100,000 in Nova, you're not struggling, but you're not making enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for those salespeople who are looking to win and succeed, I wanted to share a little bit of Dan's teachings and a lot of this really fundamental understanding that translates not only just from real estate where we work, but also in other sales industries as well. And if you thought those stats were bad, real estate agents, I'm sorry. And I just share that as just want to be a collaborator in the space. Like right now, 13 to 15% of agents make it to those first 5 years. Most drop out, which is a huge stat. And it's crazy that we have what seems like a lot of organizational support and a lot of laws and guidelines and principles like fiduciary duty and things like that, but still they're undertrained.
Yeah, but you're starting that stat a little bit too far down the journey, because if you had your stat to say how many people take the class to get their real estate license,
What's that?
I don't know the answer, but
Sure.
what I know is that when I used to be an instructor, probably half the students would actually get their license.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even less than that.
So upstream, like people kind of started the process, but then dropped off along the way.
A tremendous amount.
Yeah.
Tremendous amount. So if you think
That's
about like
interesting, yeah.
people that say, hey, I want to go and why do they want to be a real estate agent, for example, if that's the profession they're looking for, it's because they perceive easy money. They perceive success. They perceive like, oh my God, that guy made $30,000 by doing this and he didn't, or she didn't earn it.
Right. They just put the sign in the yard, just open up the door, right?
Yeah, but I can tell you, I mean, real estate sales in of itself is a tough profession.
It's brutal.
I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years, and I'm going to tell you, I'll be straight firsthand of the thousands or tens of thousands of agents that I've led in my own personal, business. It's tough, and it takes tenacity, it takes consistency, it takes hard work, and honestly, if you're making whatever you're making in sales is probably not enough, even as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
It really is.
And now that we kind of understand the stack against salespeople in general, if those of you are still listening and you still want to be a salesperson,
Let me discourage you.
yeah, let me discourage you some more. No, it is possible though, and I really believe this as a salesperson going on 7 years now, that it is probably one of the best jobs to have to help insulate yourself within the ever-changing marketplace, especially in local, smaller markets where it's a bit tight-knit fishbowl community like Hampton Roads. You don't have that downside, but I'm sure there's other downsides.
There's pros and cons to every marketplace, right?
Yeah. And then one of the other things too, which is like really helpful to look at, is the immense amount of conversations you can have in a smaller market, but also the challenge of AI as well, artificial intelligence, because I was, once again, on my stats here, Dan, right around 60 to 70% of consumers are starting their search on ChatGPT online, which is a great resource, by the way. I'm like totally for that.
Sure.
We had the AI brothers come in last week. Shout out to Luke and Charlie talking about their AI systems for small business owners. But it would be silly of me just to kind of push that aside without addressing it, because ultimately, like with better automation, better systems, better tools, I mean, you can in a lot of ways get, probably sell more, if not less. What are your thoughts on AI and how it affects the salesperson?
AI is a tool.
Sure.
The same way as money's a tool. Okay, the same way as a CRM's a tool. All right, so is a CRM going to transform a salesperson's business? Probably not, but it could.
Could help.
Is
Right.
money going to transform somebody's business? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on how you use it. AI, same thing. Can it transform someone's business? Absolutely, if you use it well. But here's what AI will never replace, ever. It will never replace relationships, and it will never replace trust. And so when you understand that, the AI is a tool. It's not the way that you serve others, but it's a tool to be able to help you with data. It's a tool to be able to help you with research. It's a tool to be able to help you with taking the fiduciary, not the fiduciary things, but the things that take like the tasks, the widgets, right? The things that they are just like checking the box. Your $10 an hour work or $20 an hour work, wherever you're at, the lower dollar per hour work, it's doing that in place so that you could be the person that's meeting with people to identify what is it that your problem is. What are you feeling? What is it that you want to achieve? Okay, and now as a service professional, as a sales professional, now I'm there to be able to guide you on how to be able to solve that problem and to be able to obtain the desire.
Yeah.
AI can't do that.
Right. And I love that point, Dan, and that's why I really want to have you on to talk about your book today, too, because regardless of what changes happen in the industry, obviously right now it's AI, it's never been more important now than ever to be known, liked, and trusted, which are the 3 core traits, I believe, of any successful transaction. People got to like you, they got to know who you are, and they have to be able to trust you and your judgment and your ability to help them move along the process, whatever problems they're solving for.
I would change that. I would change that to trust, know, like.
Okay. I just...
no, the way you said it is
trust,
the way...
know, likes is the order? Okay.
Well, the way you said it is the way we normally say it, right?
Right.
But before I want somebody to like me, I want them to trust me.
That's true.
All right? Now, I do need them to know me before they can trust me.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why the order is you're going to know me first, then trust me. And then how do I get you to trust me? I get you to trust me by being a resource to be able to guide you, by caring for you, by putting your interests first. When I do that, like naturally comes. But there's a lot of people that you can like that you can't necessarily trust with big decisions or trust to guide you. And so that's why I say it's know, trust, like.
That's a good distinction, too, because I think a lot of old school sales and even just general poor sales in general, someone may be likable, very charismatic, but may not be that trustworthy figure.
Well, they may be trustworthy in the sense of you can trust them with your dog to your dog sit, but are they going to trust? Can you trust them to have the knowledge to be able to guide you and the care to be able to guide you? Maybe, maybe not. But if you want to go have hot dogs and beers on the weekends, hey, let's go do it, right?
Right.
I like you a lot, but I'm looking for somebody to actually guide me.
So walk us through this core message you have, Dan, because you've done a really good job outlining in your book. And before we get into the book, I have 5 free copies to give out to anyone that's looking to explore sales, or maybe your friend or relative or your partner is thinking about a career change. I would love to give you a free copy courtesy of Dan here at the studio in the Norfolk area. So hit me up, DM me by July 15th. That'll be the cutoff date, July 15th, 2026. If you're watching this in 2027, I don't know, still DM me. Let's hit me up. Maybe I'll have some more books or resources for you then. But for now, 2026, that's where we're at. Dan, walk me through this process, because you've really laid this out in really just like really good 7 steps here, starting with sales is not convincing people. Walk me through that, because I think that's pretty contradictory to the industry in general.
Sales is about gaining trust. Sales is about taking the time to understand somebody's, what their pain is. Mm. And that pain is something that can be external, like I don't have enough money to buy a product. And it can also be internal, which is like, I feel like crap because I don't have enough money to buy a product.
Right.
Okay. And so that's where a salesperson's job is to start there. All right. And now to be able to do that, I go through the book, what I call the CPI communication model, consistent predictable income communication model, which is the first to gain rapport, which is a connection of energy. So like you and I are here, we're 2 human beings. I'm looking at this beautiful Joe right here, right?
Stop.
But inside that beautiful Joe is a beautiful spirit of Joe. Okay. And so when I understand that, and I understand that I want to connect with you, to connect with rapport, I'm connecting with your energy. I'm connecting with your spirit. I'm connecting with who you are beyond what's, skin and bones.
Sure.
All right.
Just being human, right?
Just being human, but also like connecting at a deeper level.
Right. That's
what rapport is. So that's the CPI communication model. Number 1 is to be in rapport. Number 2 is to then ask adept questions.
Okay. What's an adept question look like?
It's a deep diving question designed to be able to uncover the truth of what are you afraid of. The best phrase that I recommend, write this down. Tell me more about that. That's the best phrase a salesperson can use. When you identify a pain, when you identify something that's causing the other person a little bit of annoyance or hesitation or whatever's causing them to delay making a decision, well, tell me more about that, Joe. How are you feeling? If you achieve that, what would it help you to do? So those are examples of deep diving questions. And the third step in the CPI communication model is to actively listen. And so what am I actively listening to and for? I'm actively listening to the energy, right? So let's say that you and your beautiful bride are buying a pair of glasses, and let's say these glasses cost $10,000. These are really cool glasses, right? And let's say I say to you, I say, Joe, would you like to buy these glasses? And you're like, yes. And I say to your wife, hey, would you like to buy these glasses? She's like, yeah, right? Like that hesitant yeah is a yes verbally, but it's clearly a no. That's a yeah. That's a thing they're saying. Joe probably should say, hold on.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to be in the doghouse. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. You want to have that conversation. And yeah, I love that. So the adept questions helped you, well, first off, being connected with someone as a human.
Be in rapport, ask adept questions, actively listen. Those are the 3 steps.
Yeah. And I think too, that kind of helps dispel a lot of those like stigmas salespeople have, because you think of someone pushy, you think of someone with an agenda, and it's like, look, I don't have an agenda. I really just want to better understand what problem you're looking to solve for, and if I can help. And if I can't help, I'll help you get connected with somebody that can.
Right. You're still there to provide the solution.
Right.
I may or may not be able to help you with my service or my product or the goods that I'm selling. I may not. But if I can be able to connect the dots, guess what? I'm helping another vendor. And there's going to be a reciprocity in that.
Sure.
I'm helping the client, and even though I'm not making any money from there, but there's going to be trust established, right? And so now if you're looking at the long-term health of your business, you're setting it up an ecosystem that, guess what? AI can't mess with that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's always about looking out for the other person.
I love that too, especially going back to that trust piece as well. Let's unpack this a little bit more on the lead generation side or the conversation side too, because okay, great. That's a really good core teaching, really good core principles you have in your book. Now, for those salespeople out there, they're looking to apply it. So they're doing those day-to-day calls. I think you have a schedule. It almost feels like a W-2 job, but I think it's important to mention. How many days a week do you prospect?
5 days.
5 days a week.
1 to 3 hours a day.
1 to 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
I have on the top of my billboard, on the top of my corkboard above my desk, it says, and fill in the blank of real estate. So whatever podcast production or what's your sponsor's name here?
Yeah, Toast. Shout out to Free Life LLC. Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out to Toast. Let's say I'm selling toast. All right. On my corkboard, it says, I'm not in the toast selling business. I'm in the lead generation business specializing in selling toast.
Sure.
I'm not in the real estate business. I'm in the lead generation business specializing in selling real estate. When you understand that no matter what your business is, you're in the lead generation business first, then you're going to be able to sustain through time.
Right.
This is why I've had no broke months as a real estate agent since 2008.
Right. That's the core teachings of
everything that I've done.
What you've learned in sales.
I've done and you said I've been in sales for the last 20 years. That's not quite right. My first business got shut down by the man. Did I ever tell you that?
No, which business was this?
Well, I would go to the store, and I don't think it was a 7-Eleven, because I'm not even sure if 7-Elevens. I'm sure they were around, but they weren't prominent like they are now.
Sure.
And I would go and buy those bubble gums, 10, the rolls like that, 10 little balls in a sleeve. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Get those for 50 cents back in the day, and you could sell them for a quarter a pop. So 8-year-old Danny Rochon got shut down by the principal in his kindergarten first grade class, right?
I remember that now, yeah.
Apparently he was anti-capitalist, but that's fine. That's fine. But here's the thing. I've been selling since I've been like a kid. And what I've learned through the years and years of sales, through success and many failures or learning opportunities, what I've learned is it's all about helping people. It's not about me. It's never about me. I'm the guide. My job is to be able to really understand you, your goals, your needs, what's going on in your world, and then my job is to be able to help solve them, no matter how I can do that. Again, like we said earlier, either connect them with a vendor, providing my service or product to help them, or having them have a great drink of toast there.
Yeah, I appreciate you expanding on that too, because I think a lot of, myself included in this camp, we could get caught up in this generalized, I want to help people, or I want to, like, this very generic goal. And it's like, going back to your principle, if you're in the lead gen business, right? So your goal in your job every day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 hours a day, should be prospecting, lead generating.
I wouldn't say prospecting, though.
You wouldn't say prospecting?
Well, prospecting is a subsection of lead generation.
Okay, tell me more.
All right, so you can get business through prospecting, which costs you time, through marketing, which costs you money, and through networking, which costs you a little bit of time and a little bit of money.
Right.
All right, so before you start lead generating, right, the key to success on this is to say, what's my superpower? Am I comfortable being on video? Am I comfortable doing YouTube, right? Well, maybe your job should be filming YouTube 1 hour a day about solving people's problems, just the same type of thing, right? And so understanding what is your superpower, and then finding all the different ways that you could find business, and then aligning your superpower with 1 or 3 of those ways of how you could find business. It may be prospecting. It may be marketing, but at the very least, you're going to have to follow up with the leads. So sometimes people misperceive.
That's a great distinction. Yeah, because a lot of people, including myself, sometimes just think you got to pound the phone, you got to go door knocking. Like, those are examples.
They're active. They're active ways to get business.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're going to be more predictable ways to get business, but they're not scalable.
Tell me more about that. Why aren't they scalable?
Remember what I told you? Prospecting cost you
time.
You can't scale time. You can scale time through leverage, through AI, through people. Like, that's how you can scale time, but you're not creating more time. You're just getting more done within the time.
Yeah.
Okay? And so you can only knock on so many doors. Yet, you do this film right today, 10 million people are going to watch this video. I'm creating that as an outcome, right?
Yeah, right.
So we take an hour of our time today, and we're able to knock on 10 million people's doors.
Sure.
That's marketing.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between prospecting and marketing. Marketing is a one-to-many. It's like what we're doing right here, right? I care for you who's watching this right now. I want to help you. I'm on a mission to help 1 million salespeople to have consistent, predictable income through the Teach to Sell methodology. Like, that is my passion. That's what I'm doing. I can't go knock on a million people's doors.
Yeah, but you have been on a bit of a podcast tour. How many podcasts have you been on this past year?
We're about 150.
So 150 digital doors.
Yeah.
You've been on fire, and that's why we want to have you. We had you on about a year ago when you started your podcast tour, and now you're coming up. The book drops when? This week?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow as of this
yesterday.
filming.
By the time you're watching this, it's already out there.
Yeah, it's already out there. Dan, I really appreciate you sharing this too, because I think it's a great unlock for. I know it's been a personal unlock for me, but also for individuals who are afraid of that sales word. Like, oh, I'm going to get into sales. I'm going to be a salesperson. It's not bad. It's actually a service to the community, to the industry.
I think it's the most beautiful service that we can provide
Yep.
when we approach it the right way. When we approach it with understanding that you're there as a servant, you're there to help.
Yeah.
You're not there to make money. Money is a byproduct of how many people you can help and how effectively you can help them.
Yeah.
The bigger problem I can solve for you, the more money I make. I don't need to focus on money. I need to focus on, or I'm choosing to focus on rather, how can I help you?
Yeah, the service. Yep. And helping people get that certain deliverable or outcome. I want to touch on something next that is really big in the book, especially going through your personal journey. A lot of salespeople, will think, restrictions like, okay, the market is saturated, like here in Hampton Roads, or maybe I don't have enough leads, or okay, I'm lacking these tools or resources or guidance. Now you got the book, you got your guidance piece, okay? Maybe you need some tech tools, come talk to me on that. But it's really something fundamental that actually begins kind of individualistic to how people perceive themselves. Can you unpack that a little bit more, Dan, on how people have to work through this belief or non-belief in their ability to sell?
The number one sales mistake that I talk about in Teach to Sell is not good enough. So maybe the market's not good enough, or maybe my service or my goods or my product's not good enough, or my knowledge is not good enough, or my website's not good enough, or the worst one yet, I'm not good enough.
Right.
That is the antagonist of the book. The guide of the book is the book itself or myself as the author, and the hero of the book is the reader. All right, so I want to start off with understanding that that's the starting point. Then when we understand that not good enough is what gets in our way, if we can sit there and we say, no matter if things are hard, that's an opportunity.
Right.
I got my real estate license in 2007, November 2007. Do you know what was going on in the world in November 2007?
I think I was trying to get out of middle school.
I know, you were like
at
in
that point.
preschool then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was still working on my early education. What was going on in the adult
Well,
world?
besides getting your diapers,
The market crashing. Yes, yes.
it was all right. If I want you to Google this. I'm going to give you a thing to Google. You ready?
All right, yep.
Newspaper. Look it up. In the newspaper, right? It was doom and gloom. That was the headlines. Financial catastrophe. It was the world is crashing, and I decided to get my real estate license, and it was hard. And I, instead of racing away from that storm, imagine there's a storm coming for you right now. What do most people do when there's a storm coming at you?
They run away or they shelter in place, right?
And if you choose, instead of running away, you choose to run through that storm rather than away from that storm, would you be in that storm shorter?
Dan's not condoning running into a hurricane, just so you guys know. This is a metaphorical thing. I know I lost some of you sales bros out there. Sales ladies, I know you're still with us. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Metaphorical storm. Yeah.
Thanks for the asterisk there.
I'm like typing in 2008 market crash, and I'm over here listening like, is he saying to run into the eye of the storm right now? This is not the season finale of Dexter. Metaphorically, though.
Metaphorically.
When
you run through the storm, you're going to be in that storm for a shorter period.
Yes.
When I got my real estate license, there was a storm, and it was significant. By the time 2009 came around, the real estate agents that were in the market in 2007, more than half of them were gone. Way more. And I'm talking about the successful agents. I'm not talking about that, what you said before, the 87% they're going to fill no matter what.
That's here in 2026.
I'm talking about the 13% that were succeeding.
Yeah.
Of those that were succeeding, half were gone within 2 years.
Wow.
Okay? But instead, I chose to run through the storm. So if you believe that there's a challenge in your marketplace right now, that could be the greatest opportunity that you can imagine. Because that challenge doesn't just exist for you. It exists for all your competitors. Yeah. You just need to figure out how to be able to run through that storm. And that book right there is going to show you how.
Dan, I got some audience questions to cap up this conversation. First one comes from one of my good friends and business partners, Sean. Sean says, Dan, how do you sell to a group of people when the value of what you're doing isn't completely understood?
You start with them first. So what many salespeople will do would be, hey, come look at my widget. Come look at my glasses. These are the best glasses ever.
Just listed, just sold. I'm the best. Come work with me.
Yeah. That's what many salespeople are taught to do.
Sure.
But if you're with a group of people who don't value what you're providing, it's because either, well, they may not have a need or they don't have an understanding.
Right.
So how do you do that? You ask them questions. And you identify and you help them identify for themselves. You help them identify what their need is.
Yeah.
You don't tell them. You sit there and say, well, so Joe, so you're a part of a group and you don't value what I provide. Well, that's like the premise of this, okay?
Right.
So let's just take and say, so Joe, so I'm just serious. I'm curious. What is it that's important to you? You don't have to answer that, right? But then I'm gonna go on. And so tell me more about that. Okay, so what would happen if you don't solve that problem? Well, have you ever considered what would happen when you do solve that problem? All right, that's the line of questioning that I'm going to be able to take so that you can then perceive my value.
Right.
All right. It's about asking those deep diving questions. Now you understand, like, oh my goodness, I actually have a pain here. I actually do need that guy's service or product. And now you as a service provider, as a sales professional, think about yourself as a bridge. Okay. So that group of people who may not value what you have, you're the bridge from their pain, from what they're experiencing externally. Maybe I don't have enough money. That money, I feel like crud because I don't have enough money.
Right.
To now I have enough money to be able to buy your coffee. Right. Now I can buy your coffee. Now I get the caffeine. I feel great. Whoa, man, I'm fantastic. Well, you, service provider, are the bridge in between that desire and that pain. Okay. And so if you're talking to a group of people, you get there by asking them the deep diving questions so that they discover that they do have a problem. That's the pain. And they do want a desire. And guess what? You're the bridge in between those two.
Yeah. You had mentioned something really interesting earlier, and I think it goes back to, how to leverage AI tools. Like for me specifically, I was looking to get my crawl space situation figured out. Apparently you weren't supposed to build crawl spaces. You weren't supposed to stuff a bunch of insulation under your house, right? Give or take 50 years ago, this is what they did. But now I'm coming across these problems of how they originally thought. And so I'm talking to these salespeople. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm asking these questions. And what I noticed that was so important for me to hear was one, to like have something visually that I could review, that I could then go take to AI or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever and compare it to.
Sure.
So that foundational knowledge I had, but what I really needed to figure out was the implementation part. And I think if I translated that to my role as a salesperson, I need to better understand what foundational knowledge people have of real estate sales or podcasting or marketing in general.
Or crawl spacing.
Or crawl spacing. Yeah, I sell crawl spaces now, by the way. I got my certification. It was really easy. No, I'm just kidding. But that piece, I think, is going to be really crucial for sales leading into like the next 5 to 10 years of the industry of like, okay, AI's figured out the problem. They've provided the pamphlets. We don't need to do pamphlets anymore. Those are done. But like, where does the salesperson come in? The consumer's mostly educated. They need to kind of figure out those 1 or 2 additional pain points. I got another last audience question for you. Ready? This comes from Responsible Race 7590 on Reddit. Hi, I'm new to sales and I'm honestly struggling to understand how people get good at it. Right now, it feels like I'm just lost in a maze. I don't really understand what I'm supposed to be doing day to day to actually start getting results. I see other people closing deals and it just doesn't make sense to me how they get there. What I'm trying to figure out is, what level do you actually need to reach before things click? What does a normal day look like for someone who's actually good at sales? And what do top performers do differently that make them consistent? I want to get to a point where this makes sense and I can actually perform instead of feeling stuck.
I got 5 things for you to do. And this is the 5 things that any salesperson can do to have consistent, predictable income. This is your job description. Number 1, find business. We're going to call that lead generation. We talked about earlier how you can lead generate through prospecting, marketing, and networking. After you find business, number 2 is to get those people to set an appointment with you. So number 1 is to lead generate. Number 2 is to convert those people to meet with you. Number 3 is then to attend the meeting for the purpose to get hired. Number 4 is to negotiate. And number 5 is to be able to practice your scripts and role play. That's it. I didn't say figure out how to post on Canva. I didn't say figure out how to develop a business card or even a website.
Sure.
Are all those things necessary? In business, yeah, absolutely. Yet, the 5 things that I just said are the only 5 things that are going to pay you money.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to build a business, I'll give you a separate 5 things. So the first ones I gave you would be called CPI time, consistent, predictable income. Again, that's to lead generate, convert the leads to meet with you, attend the appointments to get hired, to negotiate and practice your scripts and role play. Now, there's 5 things that you want to do to be able to build your business. Those 5 things are to recruit talented people to join you in your business, like Joe Trahan, by the way. Number 2 is to select the right people to be in business with. Number 3 is to train those people so they can reach their goals. Number 4 is to lead those people so they know how to think so they can reach their goals. And number 5 is to motivate those people so they can reach their goals. Now, that's 10 items that you do as a salesperson and as a business owner. So maybe you're a salesperson working for somebody else, so the next 5, you're not going to have to worry about that so much. Or maybe you're self-employed, that would be all 10. And the last one I'm going to give to everybody as well. So there's 11 of these actually. So there's 5 in your business, that's CPI time. There's 5 on your business, that's leverage time. And the 11th one is to manage your money. Mm-hmm. So if you're new to sales, I would recommend to focus on those first 5 and the 11th one, which is to manage your money.
Absolutely. Because no point in learning all that and making all that money if you don't keep track of where the money's going, right?
Well, you can lose money too.
Yeah.
You know, if you're hiring virtual assistants, you're paying for Claude for extra, usage, whatever the case may be, you could certainly lose money in sales. Trust me, you can lose money.
Dan, thank you so much for highlighting those. That is very helpful. And then obviously we'll reference the book. Any final words or messages on where folks can go get the book? Floor is all yours.
Before you get the book, I want to encourage for you to understand that half of Teach to Sell is one of the 4 pillars, which is to believe in yourself. And I want to let you know that you have the right to believe in yourself, and not just the right, but you have the obligation to do so. You have the obligation to your family, to the ones that love you, to your kids if you have kids, to your brother, to your sister, to your mother, to your daughter, to whoever's in your life. You have an obligation to believe in yourself. And mostly you have an obligation to believe in yourself for yourself. And that's half of the book. And then after you believe in yourself, then you're going to learn how to generate leads, how to be able to have consistent, predictable income. And then when you understand how to generate leads, you're then going to understand how to be able to build an organization of support so you're not working 24/7. And then finally, you're going to learn how to lead other people so that they know how to think, so that they can get what they want. And to get the book, you can visit www.teachtosellbook.com. That's teachtosellbook.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to Discover Virginia. If there's a person, story, or place you think we should cover next, you can leave us a voice message at 757-509-1518. The show was produced by One in Main Studios. Special thanks to our team, Sean, Michael, and Brady. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the podcast wherever you listen. See you next episode.